All right. Good evening. And even though it looks like day, I've got the Italian background again for this one. So, few of you, yesterday you saw me post this, and these are sanding, obviously sanding paper, 400 grit for extra fine work. So, some of you are probably like, what are you doing with this? And I'm really excited. I actually have a new project that's completely unexpected, but it lets me work with my art, which is fantastic. So, a couple weeks ago, someone came into the cafe and they see me do the art and the pen work and everything and the watercolor. And they're like, hey, I retired. I received a grandfather clock for a gift from the place that I worked for 27 years. And I'd really like to restore the face. And they're busy telling me, it's not the original face because I said, are you concerned with the historic value, the antique value of it? And I asked this several times because once you mess with something, that's it. And they're like, no, I just want it to look good. So what I have for a project is restoring an antique clock face that's been around for at least 78 years, probably longer. It's probably not the original clock face. So this is the piece. And what makes it really interesting, there we go. So it's interesting, it's a piece of wood, right? And you can see here that it's pegged. So they pegged it, they blopped it up, so it's probably not the original clock face. And you can see the pegs here. There we go. Still learn how to mirror on this video thing. But this is the clock face that I'll be working on. And right now, you might be able to tell a little bit of sheen to it now. This is it cleaned, so you can imagine what it looked like in the beginning. But right now, you can tell by the shine that it's got two coatings of gesso on it. So it's been primed. I'm waiting for this to actually finish. It's dry to the touch, otherwise I wouldn't be touching it and showing it to you. But I'm waiting for it to completely dry and bond. It's going to take about 2, 3 days. Well, another 2 days because it's been already at 24 hours since the second coat. Now, what the heck? How do you even go about something like this? And that's what took like a good week or so of research, talking with different people. Uh, Old friend here, Dawn soap for cleaning, and then also, let's see if I can get this, good old hydrogen peroxide. So Dawn, hydrogen peroxide, part of a scrubby, sponge first. This, the green part, very sparingly, very, very sparingly. But it's a fine bridge between taking the dirt off and taking all the ink and the design off. And invariably, you're probably going to get some of the design off by accident. So before I even started with this, I took it to the local print shop and I had a good high quality scan made to preserve all the information on it. So now, as you can see, some of the gold rubbed off it. This is to be expected, and it was going to get dull anyway. So from there, it was like, well, how am I going to do justice to this? How am I going to get it to stick? So cleaning it, first thing, well, scan first, then the cleaning, scrubbing, making sure it's completely dry. And then, which some of my craft people already knew about and art people knew, but they make a clear gesso or clear primer. And notice professional grade. I want this to last for the person. So I'm using professional grade acrylics. And this is what I was talking about in the first video, where you know color theory, you learn color theory, you can use it wherever. So what we're going to end up doing, because this is kind of like, you can tell it's kind of like a blue-gray. Maybe it has a little bit of a greenish tinge, but we're going to say bluish because that's what it, when you really zoom in, it's kind of hard to tell. But you've got this gray, almost like a light blue tinge to it. instead of the areas where it's cleaner. And that's where, okay, get the gesso, used a brand name. I can get, there's other stuff that's cheaper, doesn't necessarily mean it's professional grade, so that was a concern. But then I found also professional grade acrylic, white, ivory black, which we'll be using, and then probably the equivalent of a cyan or something close to a cyan or sky blue, ciano in Italian. So this I can custom mix. This is kind of what I was talking about before. Yeah, see, there's the color. They're pretty good with their bottles. And then even the ivory black. You can see on the, it's not a, a super cold black. It's a little warm because originally, this is like the horror and the joy of history here. Originally, ivory black came from elephant tusks and tusks being burned. So you'd have a brown tinge to it. So this actually has a little bit of warmth to it, which is what I want. So that way things don't turn out completely dull, not dull, but cold. There's a little warmth there. So these three together are going to make the gray with a little tinge of blue. And this is where your color theory comes in. Instead of trying to find a color that matches and almost matching it, you can make your own and you can get it a whole lot closer. We're going to be playing with that. But before I do that, one of the things I'm concerned about is all these little details. And there's all this fine scroll work and everything that I would normally do with a pen, which is what I'm going to end up doing with this. So this is where this is a really interesting and neat project for me. And what I've decided is that I'm going to use probably this, which is the Black Star ink, archival quality. So I'm going to ink it first. This is just like what I do with the watercolor. I'm going to ink it first and then do the paint so that if I go over something with this gray mixture, which will be gray, if I go over something and accidentally hit it, we're going to have a nice dark solid black underneath it and have much less chance of accidentally destroying something here. And then the other thing, yeah, and I do have another black. So I could use this. One of my friends gave it to me. Thanks, Liz. And I may use this. We'll see. I've got to check on how permanent it is. This I know is archival, so I'm definitely looking for archival, and the Liquitex soft body is archival as well. And then big shout out to my friend Paige who looked up and saw about the peroxide combined with the Dawn. So this is in pretty good shape, like a lot cleaner than it was. And these areas that look really dirty at the top, it actually turned out to be where the paint itself is coming off. So fun little project, fun big project. And then this you use in between the coats of the gesso. So I use that just to smooth it out. And I'll smooth this out in another couple days before I paint, just to make sure that it's got an even finish and everything. So that's the project. And yes, with the paint or with the ink, I'll be using standard old inking. We'll see what tip I end up using. It's probably going to be the super fine tip that I mentioned earlier, which is this guy. So it's a mapping nib. And this is like the Japanese maru or mapping nib. You can get like 10 tip packs. They're almost $1 a piece, but they last as long as you clean them and as long as you take care of them. And this is actually worth its weight in gold. $5 for a little bottle cleaner. It'll save you a ton of nibs because they do get clogged, especially if, like me, I go outside. I like working around people. And if it's warm out, the ink dries on the pen, on the nib, or if there's a breeze. So that's the disadvantage between using like a traditional nib and using something like, let's say a Micron pen. The Microns are great, but you still have to press. You can't get as fine detail. So, and I like the detail and control with this. So this is where we're going to start. We're going to start with the inking, Then we're going to mix the background color, and I also have some gold coming in. And I do have, for the red, I also have uh, more inks, right? So I can mix these to make a red. The magenta and the yellow, they'll make orange, but if you mix them carefully, they will also make a red. And we're back to this color theory again, right? Blue, red, and yellow. And yes, this blue gets really, really fine if you well, not if you dilute it, but if you use just a tiny bit. So it's strong ink. These two are the lighter ones. You're always going to end up, oh, another thing, if you're mixing your own colors, you're usually going to use more yellow because it's the lighter color. You don't need as much magenta. You don't need as much magenta to make a red or an orange, and you don't need as much blue to make your greens. So that's kind of where things are right now. It's a fun little project, fun, not big project, but it's got a lot of detail in there. You can see the pen work and the scroll work. So it's going to be fun to see where this goes. So thanks for dropping in. Thanks everyone for all your tips. Age for giving me the tips on the cleaning. Lizzie for letting me know, hey, that yeah, this is a good direction to go for wood, because I know got an artist friend who's been doing this stuff forever. So it's good to check with people, get ideas, do your research if you're working on something like this. Remember, this is what I'm doing. You might do something completely different. I'm not saying this is going to work for you, but this is insight into my process. And just to be fair, this is my first restoration, but it's also restoration that's non-historical in the sense that I'm using modern colors, modern um, supplies here. So yeah, that for me, that was what was, it seemed like it'd work the best. It would last the longest. These paints are rated to like 50 years in a gallery, and highly light resistant to fading. And the same with these inks. So they're light, all these are archival and light fast. So that's what I'm doing. That's why yesterday I posted this picture of this 400 grit. And we're going to go in this together and see how all this works. And I'm super excited to share with you. Have a great evening and visit the website.